My husband has been having an affair with his stepsister, and their family has known the entire time to expose the family protecting their secret. My name is Rebecca, and I found out 3 months ago, but I didn't confront anyone. Not yet, because the moment I discovered the truth, sitting in my kitchen with my hands shaking around a coffee mug that had gone cold, I realized something. If his entire family knew and said nothing, if they all protected this disgusting secret while smiling at me at Sunday dinners and birthday parties, then they deserved more than just a confrontation. They deserved to have their perfect little world blown apart in the most public way possible. So I started planning. The affair was with Melissa, his stepsister. They grew up together from the time they were 12 and 14. And I know what you're thinking, not blood related, so maybe it's not as bad. Wrong. It's worse. Because they were raised as siblings. They called the same people mom and dad. They fought over the bathroom and the TV remote. They had family vacations and Christmas mornings together. And somewhere along the way, something twisted happened between them. I found out by accident, like these things always happen. I was looking for charger cable in Marcus's car and found a receipt from a hotel, the Riverside Inn, about 30 miles outside our town. Date was a Thursday, 2 weeks prior. I remembered that Thursday, Marcus said he had a work conference and would be home late. I almost brushed it off, almost. But something felt wrong. The hotel was too close. If he had a conference, why not stay in the city? Why drive 30 miles out? I checked our credit card statements that night after Marcus fell asleep. The Riverside Inn appeared 6 times over the past 4 months. Always on Thursdays. Always the same room charge. Around $150. My stomach dropped. But I didn't wake him up. I didn't scream or throw things. I just lay there in the dark listening to him breathe and felt something inside me go very, very quiet. The next Thursday I followed him. I called in sick to work, something I never did. I taught 3rd grade and I loved my job, but that day I couldn't think about anything except the knot in my stomach and the way Marcus had kissed my forehead that morning before leaving. "Love you, Becca," he'd said, like he always did. Like he meant it. I waited 20 minutes after he left, then got in my car. I knew he'd mentioned stopping by the office first, so I drove there and parked across the street. Sure enough, his car was in the lot. I waited, checked my phone, checked it again. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. 45 minutes later, he came out. But he wasn't alone. Melissa walked beside him. They weren't touching, but there was something about the way they moved together. Comfortable, familiar. She laughed at something he said, and he smiled down at her, and my vision actually blurred for a second. I followed them, kept 3 cars back like I'd seen in movies, felt ridiculous and heartbroken and furious all at once. They drove to the Riverside Inn, parked side by side. This time, when they walked to the entrance, Marcus put his hand on the small of her back. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, just staring at the building. Red brick, white shutters, a sign that said clean rooms, fair prices. How romantic. Then I drove home and threw up in the bathroom for 10 minutes straight. But here's the thing. I didn't confront them. Not then. Because I needed to know more. I needed to know if this was new, or if I'd been the fool for longer than a few months. I needed to know if anyone else knew. So I started digging. I checked Marcus's phone while he showered. I know, invasion of privacy. But he was sleeping with his stepsister. So I think I had justification. His messages with Melissa were careful, coded. Lots of "see you Thursday," and "can't wait," and "miss you already." Nothing explicitly sexual. But the intimacy was there. The familiarity. These weren't messages between siblings. I went back further. Months. Years. And that's when I found it. A message from 3 years ago. "I know we said we'd stop, but I can't get you out of my head." 3 years. We'd been married for 5. I actually laughed when I read that. This horrible, hollow sound that didn't sound like me at all. I was sitting on the bathroom floor with his phone, and I laughed until tears ran down my face. The next Sunday, we went to his parents' house for dinner. We did this every other week. Marcus's mom, Patricia, always made pot roast. His stepdad, George, always wanted to talk about football. Melissa was usually there with her boyfriend, Dylan. That night, I watched them all differently. Patricia hugged me when we arrived. "Rebecca, sweetie, you look tired. Are you feeling okay?" I smiled, said I was fine, just busy with work. The lie came easily. Melissa was in the kitchen, tossing salad. She looked up when I walked in. "Hey, Becca, can you grab the dressing from the fridge?" I got the dressing, handed it to her, watched her thank me with this easy smile. This woman who was sleeping with my husband, who grew up calling his father dad, who sat across from me at Thanksgiving and asked me to pass the stuffing. Dylan was nice, kind of boring, talked a lot about his job in insurance, but he clearly adored Melissa, kept touching her arm, bringing her drinks. I wondered if he knew, if he suspected, or if he was like me 6 weeks ago, completely clueless. During dinner, I watched Marcus and Melissa. They were careful, no lingering looks, no secret smiles, but twice, I saw it. Small moments. She passed him the bread basket, and their fingers touched for a second too long. He laughed at something she said, and the laugh was different from the one he used with everyone else. Softer, more real. Patricia noticed me watching. "Rebecca, did you want more pot roast?" I blinked, smiled. "No thank you. It's delicious though." George launched into a story about his golf game. Marcus leaned back in his chair, relaxed, one arm draped over the back of my chair, playing the perfect husband. I felt sick. After dinner, I helped Patricia with dishes. Just the 2 of us in the kitchen. Warm water running, the sound of the others laughing in the living room. "You and Marcus seem happy," Patricia said, scrubbing a plate. I almost dropped the dish I was drying. "We are," I managed. "Good. I worry about you two sometimes. Marriage is hard work." She rinsed the plate, handed it to me. "But you're good for him. You keep him grounded." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her right then, but I didn't. I just smiled and nodded and dried the dishes and hated every single person in that house. That night, night, I made a decision. I was going to find out exactly how deep this went. Who knew how long they'd been protecting this? And then I was going to burn it all down. I started with Marcus's brother, Kyle. He was 2 years younger than Marcus, lived across town, worked as a mechanic. We'd always gotten along fine, but we weren't close. I invited him to lunch, said I wanted advice about a surprise party for Marcus's birthday. Kyle seemed confused. Marcus's birthday wasn't for 4 months, but he agreed. We met at a diner downtown. I ordered coffee. I didn't drink and watched Kyle demolish a burger while I tried to figure out how to ask what I needed to ask. So I started, stirring my coffee. How long have you known? Kyle looked up, confused. Known what? About Marcus and Melissa. The change in his face was immediate. He went pale, set down his burger, looked around like someone might be listening. Becca, just tell me. Please, I already know. I just need to know who else knows. He was quiet for a long moment. Then quietly, since high school. The diner spun. What? They started whatever this is when they were like 16 and 18. It was weird then, and it's weird now, but he rubbed his face. Look, I thought it ended when Marcus met you. I really did. He swore it was done. Who else knows? Becca, Kyle. Who else knows? He sighed, looked miserable. Mom and George know. They caught them once, years ago. There was this huge fight. They made them promise to stop. And when Marcus started dating you, everyone thought it was finally over. But it wasn't. I didn't know they'd started up again. I swear. Not until about 6 months ago. I saw them at a restaurant together. It was supposed to be a work thing for Marcus. But Melissa was there, and he trailed off. I confronted Marcus. He admitted it, begged me not to tell you. And you didn't. I told him he was being an idiot, that he needed to end it or tell you, or both. But Kyle looked at me with genuine pain in his eyes. You're my sister-in-law. I should have told you. I'm sorry. I felt strangely calm. Who else? I don't know. Maybe Dad. Probably not Melissa's boyfriend. That guy's clueless. Some of their friends might suspect, but I don't think they know for sure. I nodded, took a sip of cold coffee. Okay, what are you going to do? I smiled at him. It felt wrong on my face. I haven't decided yet. That was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. Marcus's parents were celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary in 3 months. They were planning this huge party, rented out a country club, invited everyone they knew, hired a caterer and a band. Patricia had been planning it for a year. It was going to be the social event of the season for them. Perfect. I went home and started my own planning. I opened a separate bank account and started transferring money. Not enough that Marcus would notice, but enough. I consulted with a divorce attorney, got my ducks in a row. I gathered evidence, took screenshots of every message, printed credit card statements, even drove to the Riverside Inn one Thursday and took photos of both their cars in the parking lot. And I waited. I played the perfect wife. I smiled at Sunday dinners. I laughed at George's jokes. I helped Patricia plan her anniversary party. She wanted me to give a speech about family and love and commitment. I said I'd be honored. Marcus didn't suspect a thing. Why would he? I was good at pretending. I'd been doing it for months now. The only hard part was sleeping next to him, letting him touch me. He initiated sex twice in those 3 months, and I went through the motions, staring at the ceiling afterward, feeling hollow and angry, and so tired. Melissa was harder to be around. She was so comfortable with the lie. At family dinners, she'd ask about my students, my parents, my life, like she cared, like she wasn't actively destroying my marriage. I started to hate her more than Marcus. At least he had the decency to sometimes look guilty. 2 weeks before the anniversary party, something changed. Dylan proposed to Melissa. It happened at Sunday dinner. He got down on one knee right there in Patricia's dining room, pulled out a ring, and asked her to marry him. Everyone cried. Patricia was thrilled. George shook Dylan's hand. Marcus hugged his stepsister, held her a little too long, I noticed, and congratulated them both. I watched Melissa's face when she said yes. She looked happy. But when she glanced at Marcus over Dylan's shoulder, I saw something else. Panic, maybe, or regret. That night, Marcus was quiet on the drive home. You okay? I asked. Yeah, just surprised. Didn't think Dylan would propose so soon. They've been together 2 years. I know, just surprised. I looked at him in the darkness of the car. Does it bother you? What? No, why would it? I shrugged. She's your sister. Big change. He relaxed. Thought I was just being a caring wife. Yeah, I guess. But I'm happy for her. Liar. I got my proof the next Thursday. I followed them again to the hotel. This time I watched them arrive separately and paid the desk clerk $50 to tell me what name the room was under. Marcus had used his real name. Idiot. I also paid the clerk another $100 to let me know when they left. I waited in my car. 3 hours later, she called. I drove to the hotel and knocked on their door before they could get to their cars. Marcus answered, shirtless. His face went white when he saw me. Becca. I looked past him. Melissa was sitting on the bed, wrapped in a sheet, looking terrified. I didn't yell. I just looked at them both. The anniversary party is in 12 days. I expect you both to be there. Then I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Marcus calling my name, but I didn't stop. I got in my car and drove home and felt lighter than I had in months. He came home 2 hours later. I was sitting at the kitchen table. Becca, please let me explain. No, it's not what you. Marcus, stop talking. He stopped. I looked at him. This man I'd loved, married, built a life with. You have 2 options. 1, you show up at your parents' anniversary party and act normal. You don't tell anyone I know. You don't warn Melissa or your family. You do exactly what I say. 2, I send everything I have to everyone right now. Your parents, your friends, your job, Melissa's job, Dylan, everyone. Becca, which do you choose? He stared at me. What are you going to do at the party? You'll find out. What's your choice? He looked broken. Small. I'll do what you want. Good. Sleep in the guest room. He did. The next 12 days were strange. We barely spoke. He went to work, came home, stayed out of my way. I continued planning my speech for the party. Patricia called me 3 times to go over details. Each time I was sweet and helpful and enthusiastic. Melissa called once. Rebecca, we need to talk. No, we don't. Please, I can explain. If you're not at the party, I send everything to Dylan right now. Clear? She was crying. Okay, I hung up. Kyle called too. Marcus told me what happened. Becca, I'm so sorry. Did he tell you what I'm planning? No. What are you planning? You'll see. Just be at the party. The night before the anniversary party, I couldn't sleep. I went over everything in my mind. The speech I'd written, the slideshow I'd created, the printed packets I'd prepared. Everything was ready. Marcus was in the guest room. I thought about our wedding day, how happy I'd been, how I'd thought we'd grow old together, have kids, build a life. I cried for the first time in months. Not for him, for me, for the future I'd lost. The anniversary party was beautiful. The country club had been decorated with white flowers and twinkling lights. 100 guests mingled, drinking champagne, laughing. Patricia wore a stunning blue dress. George looked proud in his suit. Marcus arrived with me. We'd agreed to drive together, keep up appearances. He looked sick. I wore a red dress I'd bought specifically for this. Wanted to look good for the end. Melissa came with Dylan. He was beaming, kept showing people her engagement ring. She looked like she might throw up. Good. Patricia hugged me. Oh, Rebecca, you look gorgeous. Thank you so much for coming early to help set up. I'd helped arrange chairs, set out programs, made sure the microphone worked. Anything for you, I said. The party went on. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Friends told stories about Patricia and George, about their love, their family, their life together. Everyone laughed and clapped. Then Patricia called me up. And now, our daughter-in-law Rebecca has prepared something special. I walked to the front, took the microphone, looked out at all those faces. Family, friends, people who'd smiled at me while knowing the truth. Thank you all for being here, I started. My voice was steady, calm. Patricia and George, congratulations on 20 years. That's quite an achievement. People smiled. Patricia looked delighted. Marriage is built on trust, I continued. On honesty. On the belief that your partner, your family, has your back. That they won't betray you. Marcus had gone pale. Kyle was staring at me with wide eyes. Melissa looked like she might faint. So I thought tonight, at this celebration of love and commitment, we should be honest, completely honest, about what family really means. I nodded to the AV guy I'd paid to run my slideshow. The screens behind me lit up. The first image was a credit card statement. Hotel charges highlighted. For the past year, I said, my husband Marcus has been having an affair. Gasps. Patricia's hand went to her mouth. George stood up. Marcus started to stand too, but Kyle grabbed his arm. Next slide. Text messages between Marcus and Melissa. The affair is with his stepsister, Melissa. Melissa made a sound like a wounded animal. Dylan's face went from confused to horrified in seconds. Next slide. Photos of their cars at the hotel. Dated. Time-stamped. But here's the interesting part, I continued. My voice hadn't wavered once. This isn't new. According to multiple sources, including Marcus's own brother, this has been going on since they were teenagers. And their parents, Patricia and George, have known for years. Patricia was crying. George was frozen. The room had gone completely silent except for my voice. They were caught. They were told to stop. They promised they would, but they didn't. And when Marcus married me, his family welcomed me with open arms. Let me call them family. Let me believe I was part of something real. All while knowing my husband was sleeping with his stepsister behind my back. I clicked to the next slide. A photo from our wedding. Marcus and me, smiling, surrounded by his family. I've spent 3 months investigating, gathering evidence, trying to understand how an entire family could look me in the eye week after week and say nothing. How they could let me help plan this party, give this speech, be part of their lives, while protecting this secret. I looked directly at Patricia. You told me marriage was hard work, that I was good for Marcus, that I kept him grounded. Did you ever think about telling me the truth? Or was I just convenient? The wife who didn't know, who kept things normal, who gave you all cover. Patricia was sobbing. George looked like he'd aged 10 years. I looked at Melissa. And you were going to marry Dylan. Were you going to stop then? Or just keep lying to both of us? Dylan had stood up, was staring at Melissa with this shattered expression. Finally, I looked at Marcus. You told me you loved me. Every day. Every morning. Love you, Becca. Like it meant something. Like we meant something. He was crying. I did love you. I do. Don't. I cut him off. Just don't. I set down the microphone, picked up the stack of printed packets I'd prepared, started handing them out. These contain all the evidence. Every message. Every receipt. Every photo. I've also included contact information for my attorney. Marcus, you'll be hearing from them Monday. I walked past Patricia and George. Patricia reached for me. Rebecca, please. I stopped. Looked at her. 20 years of marriage. Congratulations. I hope it was worth it. Then I walked out. Behind me, the party erupted. Shouting. Crying. Chaos. I heard Dylan's voice. Angry and broken. Demanding answers. Heard Marcus calling my name. Heard Patricia still sobbing. I got in my car and drove away. I went to my friend Jennifer's house. She was one of the few people I'd told everything to. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me into a hug. It's done, I said. Good. You want wine or ice cream? Both. We sat on her couch and I told her everything about the party, the faces, the chaos. She listened and nodded and didn't judge me for what I'd done. You think it was too much? I asked. No, she said firmly. They protected him for years. They all lied to you. They deserved it. My phone was blowing up. Marcus calling. Patricia, Kyle, even some of the guests. I turned it off. I stayed at Jennifer's for 3 days. On Monday, my attorney called. Marcus wanted to talk about the divorce. I told her to handle it. I didn't want to see him. Kyle came by on Tuesday. Jennifer let him in but stayed in the room. Protective. I'm not here to defend him. him, Kyle said immediately. What he did was unforgivable. What they all did was unforgivable. I just wanted to check if you were okay. I'm fine. Mom's a wreck. Dad's not speaking to Marcus or Melissa. Dylan broke up with Melissa. It's all falling apart. Good. Kyle nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I'm glad you did it. They needed to face consequences. You knew for years. I know. I was a coward. I'm sorry. I looked at him. Okay. Okay? You apologized. I accept it. But I don't want to see you or any of them again. He nodded, left quietly. The divorce took 4 months. Marcus didn't fight it. Gave me everything I asked for. Our house, half his retirement, a settlement that would keep me comfortable while I figured out my next steps. I heard through mutual friends that he and Melissa stopped seeing each other. Too much damage. Too much exposure. Melissa moved to another state. Dylan started dating someone new. Patricia and George went to marriage counseling, trying to deal with the fact that they'd enabled their children's affair for years. I sold the house, got a new teaching job in a different district, started over. About a year after the party, I got a letter from Patricia. It was long, handwritten, full of apologies and regrets. She said she understood if I never forgave her, that she'd made terrible choices trying to protect her children, that she thought about me every day. I never wrote back. 2 years later, I met someone new. His name was Daniel. He was a teacher too, kind and funny and honest. On our third date, I told him everything, the whole story. I needed to know if it would scare him off. He listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "That took courage, what you did at that party, standing up for yourself like that. Some people think it was cruel. Some people enable affairs and lie to family members for years," he said. "I think you did what you had to do." We got married a year later. Small ceremony, just close friends. No big family drama, no secrets. Sometimes I think about that night at the country club, the look on their faces when the truth came out, the chaos I left behind. I don't feel guilty. Maybe I should, but I don't. They made their choices. I made mine. And you know what? I sleep better now than I did in the last 2 years of my marriage. A few months ago, I ran into Kyle at a grocery store. It was awkward. He asked how I was doing. I told him I was married, happy, teaching at a new school. Good, he said. You deserve that. How's Marcus? He's okay, I guess. Still single. Still dealing with everything. Mom and Dad barely talk to him. I nodded. Felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Nothing. And Melissa? I don't know. We don't really keep in touch anymore. The whole family kind of fractured after everything. That's what happens when you build a family on lies, I said. Kyle looked uncomfortable. Yeah, listen, I know this doesn't mean much, but I really am sorry for not telling you, for being part of it. I know, and I forgive you, Kyle. I did a long time ago. You were in an impossible situation. His eyes got watery. Thank you. We said goodbye. I watched him walk away and felt a little bit lighter. Last week, Jennifer sent me a screenshot. Someone had posted about my story on social media. Apparently, one of the party guests had written about it, and it had gone viral. People were debating whether I'd been justified or cruel or both. I didn't read the comments. Didn't engage. That part of my life was over. But I did think about all the people out there who might be in the situation I was in, who suspect something but don't know, who are being lied to by the people who claim to love them. And I hope my story tells them one thing. You don't have to stay quiet. You don't have to protect people who won't protect you. You don't owe loyalty to people who betrayed yours. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is tell the truth, even if it's messy, even if it destroys things, even if people call you cruel, because the alternative is living a lie. And I did that for long enough. These days, I'm happy, really happy. I teach kids who make me laugh. I'm married to a man who respects me. I have friends who support me. I have a life I built from the ground up after everything fell apart. And somewhere out there, Marcus and Melissa are living with their choices. Patricia and George are living with theirs. They all lost things because of what they did, because of what they protected. I lost things too, but what I gained was worth more. I gained my self-respect back, my peace, my ability to trust again, even after everything. And honestly, that's worth more than any family who'd lie to my face for years. So yeah, I exposed them at their anniversary party. I burned it all down in the most public way possible, and I'd do it again, because some secrets deserve to be exposed, and some families deserve to fall apart. Mine just happened to do both at the same time.